Madam Speaker, the main aim of this bill, the main objective of this bill, as its name suggests, is to facilitate the doing of business and, incidentally, as has been pointed out by the Honourable Prime Minister, to improve the ranking of Mauritius in the Ease of Doing Business report published annually by the World Bank. Now, what is this Ease of Doing Business report? It is an index prepared by the World Bank annually, where the World Bank ranks 190 countries depending on 10 criteria. So the higher you rank in this index, the better you are at attracting investment, because it shows that you are investment friendly. And last year, in 2017, Mauritius was ranked 49th. 49th, down 17 places, because in 2016 we were 32nd. Between 2009 and 2013, we were between 17 and 23rd. So it's no surprise that, reacting to the decline in this ranking, in the Ease of Doing Business report, the 100,000 rupees a month advisor to the Prime Minister last year fearlessly stated that such a downgrading was embarrassing. Answering to a PQ in November last year, the Honourable Minister of Finance conceded that he was not happy with the fact that we had reculé en termes de ranking. And he stated, and I quote, "We will do whatever it takes, and we are going to look at whatever other measures that we have to, that have to be implemented, so that we have a better ranking with regard to the ease of doing business." This is what the then Honourable Minister of Finance stated. We're going to take whatever measures necessary to improve our ranking. But will the measures being proposed in this bill today improve the situation? Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, I'm afraid that despite all the good intention from the government, the impact is likely to be very minimal. Of course, there are some positive measures, such as the setting up of an electronic licensing system for the application, processing, and determination of permits. There will be the ability now to file documents electronically and to carry out searches electronically. We also have no issue with the Mauritius Revenue Authority now becoming the collecting agent for the payment of National Pension Fund, National Solidarity Fund, recycling fees and levy. But will these measures, Madam Speaker, make a difference? Again, I don't think there will be any significant difference. We need investment. We need investment because without investment there will be no meaningful growth. And without meaningful growth there will be no creation of jobs, there will be no prosperity, there will be no improvement in our standard of living. And the competition out there is fierce. It is not enough for us just to make changes to facilitate doing business in Mauritius. We need to be more attractive than our competitors. We need to do more than them, and they are not resting on their laurels. Last year, if we declined in the ranking of ease of business, yes, part of it was our fault, but part of it was due to our competitors taking measures to improve their ranking. So our competitors are doing better than us. Now, when we look at the figures, Madam Speaker, for foreign direct investment, in 2015, after this government came into office, there was a 50% drop in FDI, from 18.5 billion rupees in 2014 to only 9.6 billion rupees, a 50% drop. Now, according to the latest figures published by the Bank of Mauritius last month, on the 4th of April, we are told that the FDI for 2016 was 13.6 billion rupees. And I heard the Honourable Prime Minister go on TV and brag about, we have FDI now, we improve 40% more than last year. Yes, fair enough, you've improved 40% more than last year. But when we compare 2016 figures with 2014 figures, you still underperform by 25%. Underachievement. And this is why I don't understand. How can a government who is underachieving be bragging and be sitting on its laurel and being happy and content about what the state of our economy is? Worse, when we analyze the FDI, we see that 75% of the FDI have been invested in real estate, in non-productive assets. I'm not going to repeat all that the leader of opposition stated, and I agree totally with him that it is dangerous to put all our FDI to concentrate on real estate. This is not a long-term solution. But I would certainly reply to the comments made by the Honourable Minister of Industry when he was talking about improvement in his sector. Let me remind the Honourable Minister of Industry that last year, or was it a year before, in his Vision 2030 statement, the then Prime Minister, the then Minister of Finance, had committed to increase the share of manufacturing sector from 18% to 25% of GDP. What happened? What happened to the vision of the then Right Honourable Prime Minister? How much improvement have we had in industry? Let us see the figures. According to the Bank of Mauritius, only 500 million this year. Last year, not even 100 million. It was only 91 million. And we compare this to the preceding years where it was above 1 billion. Again, underperformance, underachievement. What happened to the measures announced in the budget? We were told that Indian investors would be coming, would be investing in bicycles, in motorcycles. We were talking about big development in the pharmaceutical sector. Nothing. Even the Albion, which was announced as one of the highlights of the budget, didn't go ahead. And worse, Madam Speaker, we are not able to attract manufacturers. We're not able to attract investors in our manufacturing industry, in our manufacturing sector. But when we look at the figures of the Bank of Mauritius, when we look at outbound investment, what do we see? This year, 2016, the amount of investment by Mauritian in manufacturing sector outside of Mauritius is 812 million rupees. We attracted only 500 million rupees. We exported 812 million rupees, a net export. How are we going to improve our manufacturing sector? Why is our manufacturers not investing in Mauritius? Why do they prefer to delocalize? Why are they going to Bangladesh? Is Mauritius less attractive than Bangladesh? Is it easier to do business in Bangladesh? There have been numerous PQs asking this House about the difficulty of our local manufacturers to get work permit, to renew work permit. And I know there have been other political interference in order to sometimes to make sure that one factory gets permit because it was blocked at the level of the ministry. There's even a call that there's a mafia, organized mafia, with respect to import of labor from Bangladesh who comes to work in textile industry. So how can we ever expect to improve, to facilitate investment when we have such rigidities in our own local manufacturing sector? Will this bill that is before this House going to change anything? Again, Madam Speaker, I'm afraid there would not be any significant improvement. What we need, Madam Speaker, what we really need is a fundamental change in attitude and in procedure. What we need is to replace red tapeism with red carpet. What we need is to reduce the number of steps and the time frames involved from the conception of a project to its realization. What we need is to reduce if not eliminate all discretionary and subjective element in the licensing process. We need objective criteria. Above all, Madam Speaker, we need to take exemplary sanctions against those crooks who takes thousands of dollars just to fix a meeting between an investor and a minister. It is simply unacceptable, Madam Speaker, that today a person employed by this government, sitting on a board as chairman, should act as facilitator, should take $15,000 to facilitate investment in this country. I don't know how much money was taken just so that an investor could take a picture with the Honourable Prime Minister. How can this be a sign? How can we attract investors? Do we really need these crooks? Do we really need these courtiers, these brokers, these intermediaries? Why is there, Madam Speaker, a perception that you need backing pour faire avancer un dossier? Why is there a perception that you need to take the services of such and such person in order not to be hassled? This is the problem in this country, Madam Speaker. Every person who wants to do business have a véritable parcours de combattant. And they need to know someone who knows someone to get their dossier avancé. And until we change this mentality, until we change this façon de faire, de façon de réfléchir, de façon d'agir, there will be no improvement in the business climate. And is this business facilitation miscellaneous provision bill going to make any difference? I'm afraid, Madam Speaker, it would make very insignificant difference. Madam Speaker, I will not be long. I will not repeat all the valid points made by the Honourable Leader of Opposition. He went close by close on the bill. And I would limit my comments on only two aspects of this bill, which has not been covered by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. The first one is the proposed amendment that is being introduced for companies and foundations. It is proposed that companies and foundations will no longer be able to make use of a seal, a corporate seal. Now, the situation today is a company who wants to enter into a contract can either execute the contract by a person with express or implied authority, or the company can affix the common seal of the company to the document. Today, it is optional. There is no obligation on the company to have a seal. There is no obligation on the company to use a seal. It is discretionary. But if we remove this requirement, this ability of a company or a foundation to have a seal, we may have very unintended consequences. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, in many countries, certain documents are required to be executed as a deed. Documents which are entered into without consideration. In many jurisdictions, especially the Commonwealth countries, the common law background, they need to affix a seal to a deed, whether it is a deed of charge, acquisition of property, or a guarantee. There is a local requirement for a company to affix its seal to that document, for it to be valid, binding, and enforceable. And today we are making it illegal to have a seal. We're not given even the option to the company to have a seal. And I would, unfortunately, the Honourable Prime Minister is not here, but I would urge him to reconsider, to revisit this decision, because, as I said today, it is optional. Companies who don't want to have a seal can choose not to have a seal. Companies who don't want to use the seal can choose not to use the seal. But companies who want to have a seal, because even today, if you look at the application forms, even in Mauritius, some of the application forms for business, there is a printed place where you have to affix the seal of the company. Now we'll have to change all these documents, toute la papeterie. So I would urge the Honourable Prime Minister to revisit, reconsider this decision of abolishing the requirement of seal. The second and last provision I would like to comment on is the amendment to the Insolvency Act. And this is a welcome amendment. There's a new section 197A, which is being introduced relating to remuneration of receiver. This is most welcome, Madam Speaker. We are regulating the remuneration which a receiver can claim and will not exceed the prescribed percentage of the gross realization proceeds on disposal of assets. Madam Speaker, I still remember I was a young barrister in those days, and I had a case before a judge, who's no longer a sitting judge now. And I still remember what he told me. It was a receivership case, and there was an injunction to prevent the receiver from taking over the business. And that learned judge, Madam Speaker, told me that for him, receivers were modern age despots. Modern age despots. Because they come in, they prey on the business, they prey on the misery of borrowers. And once they've taken in charge of the company, they do whatever they want. And very often, instead of trying to save the company, instead of trying to rearrange the business of the company, they act as liquidator. Instead of selling company as a going concern, as a business, and get a fair return, they would dismantle the business. They would act as liquidator. They would sell part of the business separately. And of course, they don't care. They don't care because they have vested interest, because they charge a percentage commission of the disposal of assets. So if they sell the business, they have to take a long time to look for investors. It may take years, it may go on or not. Whereas, once they are appointed, they take the immovable property, they just sell it. And then they get their commission, and that's the end of matter. But what I don't, and I also commend the government for introducing a new Section 376A in the Insolvency Act, which would now allow directors to sue insolvency practitioners who do not comply with the Act. Again, this is very positive because now we're introducing a recourse which directors may have against unscrupulous receivers, receivers who do not observe the trade, who do not act properly, receivers who, for example, do not secure the best price for the circumstances, but also receivers who are in blatant conflict of interest, receivers who appoint members of their firms as investment advisors, as to get transaction advisors, without calling for independent tenders. Very often, once the receiver is appointed, he will get people from his firm to go and do other things related. And this is a big conflict of interest, and up to now, the directors did not have any recourse against the insolvency practitioner. So this is a welcome measure, Madam Speaker. But then, why regulate only the remuneration of receivers? Why not regulate the remuneration of all insolvency practitioners? Why not regulate the remuneration of administrators? Why not regulate the remuneration of special administrators? We have had PQs in this Parliament about the fees of the special administrators of the BAR, Mauritius company. We had the then Minister of Financial Services come and say that he had revoked, well, the FSC, had revoked the appointment of the former special administrator because of dispute as to the fees payable. And I hope the Honourable, the new Minister of Financial Services, in his intervention, he can tell us what happened to these fees, whether they were paid, whether they were settled or not. And just like I hope he will also enlighten us if the 25 million rupees fees claimed by the administrator appointed by the directors of the BAI for less than 18 days of work has been settled as well. The gentleman has just been appointed on the Commission of Inquiry to look into the sale of the BAI assets. Madam Speaker, like I said, there are some good and interesting measures in this bill. But to start a business is still very difficult. And only a few days ago, the President the president of the Fédération des PME, in an interview, stated, and I quote, "Le plus gros problème demeure la lourdeur administrative, le retard dans l'application des mesures budgétaires et les manques d'espace industriel destinés aux PME. Il y a donc un certain découragement." Not my saying, that is what the SMEs are saying. There is lourdeur administrative. Madam Speaker, if we want to facilitate business, we need, above all, a change in attitude. All the organs of bureaucracy need to change their attitude. We should once and for all realize that we need investors and not the other way around. And we're not doing investors a favor. It is the investors who are doing us a favor. Now, will the measures announced in this bill make any difference? Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, I don't think it will make any significant difference. Thank you.
Reza.